happening. And we are live. Thank you everyone for joining us on another episode of Dan-A-Plooza. My guest right now is returning guest, actress Eliska Hahn. Eliska, thanks for coming back to Dan-A-Plooza.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Uh, we're always glad to have you here. So for those watching and future watching, make sure to go ahead and support and watch Eliska Hahn. You can go to her Facebook fan page. That's Eliska Hahn to see all the current projects she is currently working on. You can go to her website. That's www.eliskahahn.com. And you can make sure to follow there. Check out her current projects. She from Halloween Kills to Ambrosia, and on the Netflix series Rustin. So
Yeah,
make sure to follow all that. And the first thing I want to get into is, since it is the spooky season, let's talk about your time in working on the set of Halloween Kills.
sure. Well, that's one of my favorite things to talk about this time of year.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is great because that I'm getting to be with you this evening, Dan, because Halloween Ends is coming into theaters. I think there are even some early showings tonight, but technically tomorrow is the 14th. It will be nationwide and also on Peacock. So last year, I am not in Halloween Ends. I was in Halloween Kills. Uh, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends is the trilogy by David Gordon Green. Actually, all these movies were written by David Gordon Green. Danny McBride, which you might know from uh, Righteous Gemstones, different things Danny's been a part of, and then of course Jason Blumhouse of Blumhouse Pictures.
Yes.
So they took this script, turned it into a trilogy, and I was fortunate enough to be in the second installment of the trilogy. And of course, that was Halloween Hills, and that came out last October. And we were still kind of in that. It was actually supposed to come out the previous October,
Yeah.
but we were really COVID-y, and uh, the I think they made the right decision because this is a movie that you want to see in the theater. But things were still a little crazy last October. People were still not ready to run right back to the theater necessarily. So they gave fans an option. They gave them the option to go and have that big theater experience, or to stay at home with your friends, your family, and watch it on Peacock. So even though it's a year later, and a lot has happened as far as getting, having boosters available and things are returning to normal. Uh, they decided to give that option again to the fans. So for this last installment of this trilogy, they are, so as of midnight tonight, I think you can go on Peacock and watch it, or have the big movie experience of watching it. So my time on the set actually happened in the fall of 2019, and I had a blast. I got to film with Jamie Lee Curtis and Judy Greer, Anthony Michael Hall, Omar Dorsey, well, all the principals for 5 days. So our shortest day, I think, was 13 hours. Our longest was over 15. So these were very long days, and it was so much fun. I filmed uh, the hospital scenes. You'll see me with my on-screen daughter throughout the hospital screens rather prominently. And what's really super interesting, and I'm sure if I continue to make these bigger movies, I will never have an experience quite like this because I. What's really kind of interesting is where I was living in Wilmington, North Carolina, actually was the neighborhood that they used to
Oh.
film all the exterior scenes for Halloween Kills. So that park at the end of the street, where all that bad stuff happened, the flashback to the treated scene, that's all on my street or on my old street. I don't live in Wilmington, North Carolina anymore. But yeah, it was, so I lived inside of that movie for a little over 2 months. Even though I was only that 2 weeks on this soundstage at Screen Gen, so it was wonderful. It was just a supremely wonderful experience.
Would you say it's kind of surreal to look back at those things that you went past and to see them in the movie, like to walk past those certain locations?
Yeah, it was. I can tell you, I'm not going to put out any spoilers. Although, if your listeners have not seen Halloween Kills already, they should have. But just in case there's a few people out there that have not yet seen it, I can tell you, and I'll tell you this: Halloween Kills is now on HBO Max. So Halloween Ends is coming on to Peacock, but Halloween Kills is on HBO Max currently. But like the park I was talking about at the end of my street. So that's a city park in Wilmington. And the production came in and they actually put up playground equipment that was pretty important in a scene in the movie. And they left it. The playground
Oh
equipment
wow.
stayed there. So when I took, my dog to the end of the street, I would see it there. So yeah, they just left the playground equipment there.
Aw.
But yeah, it was really interesting because I lived on the street. I was able to walk down and talk to the crew, and as they were setting up for these big night shoots, a lot of night shoots. They would start at 7 o'clock in the evening and go till 7 o'clock in the morning for the night shoots on my street. And when I was in the soundstage that was Haddonfield Hospital, it didn't matter if it was day or nighttime outside
hmm
because everything was in a very controlled soundstage.
So, did people like recognize you that maybe didn't know that you were in the film? Did people like watch Halloween Kills and then recognize you and then maybe kind of reach back out to you social media wise?
Well, I'm a really big mouth on social media, so I shouted it from the rooftops. I've been making movies professionally since I was 22 years old. 22 years old. And so what I can tell you is what I mean was such a very cool thing after this many decades of acting and doing different things to walk into a movie theater, to buy a ticket on Fandango and go into a movie theater and sit there and listen to a crowd watch what we made. That was really special to see, the Universal, logo come up and all that. And it's like, I'm in this film. I'm in this film. I'm in this film. So last year, Halloween Kills was coming out. Yeah, if anybody knows me on social media, that the cat was out of the bag because I talked about it incessantly.
hmm
And I was a featured extra. I didn't have lines. I'll tell you, it's amazing how much you shoot that doesn't get used in the movie. But I was very fortunate to show up, as much as I did. But there was so much other stuff that was shot that didn't get used. Like in last year, on John Carpenter did a brand new soundtrack for Halloween Kills, and on the vinyl LP, the soundtrack LP, if you look on the desk cover, there's a picture of Jamie Lee Curtis walking with a big butcher knife. And there I am, right over her shoulder. And they did not use that in Halloween Kills. They didn't use that whole scene that we worked on for hours and hours and hours. Now, what was cool is when the DVD came out, the Steelbook, all of that, then they had all these extras and all this alternate ending type of thing, and I did see quite a bit of myself in those scenes.
It's always interesting what ends up in the cutting room floor and what ends in
Oh
the
yeah.
feature.
Well, I was happy to know that I thought all that stuff ended up on the cutting room floor, but they saved it for the alternate ending and a lot of the other features, to include on the DVD and still
That's awesome. So, switching gears, you also were in the movie Ambrosia. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
yeah, yeah. So last spring, I was able to go on location and film an independent feature called Ambrosia, and I was so happy to do this because it was a comedy. It's hilarious. And after, I mean, the last set I was on was Halloween Kills, and which is pretty heavy. And then COVID hit, and everything shut down for all of 2020 and even into the beginning of 2021. So I was tickled when I was contacted. Uh, I I Shane Pierce, Dave Bravely, I love you. They're the two directors of Ambrosia. Uh, it should be out, if not at the last part of this year, the beginning of next year. Like I said, it's an independent feature, and it was really super special to me because I got to go to the southern part of West Virginia. West Virginia is my home. I was born and raised there, and to go back to that state and get to create something that I know people are absolutely going to enjoy to the max. There's so much hilarity in this movie, and believe it or not, it's kind of the first time that I, as a leading lady, get to be the funny girl. The pretty girl or the space princess or whatever, but I get to be the funny girl. And that was super special for me because growing up in a coal mining town in West Virginia, my outlet was watching TV, and some of my favorites were Carol Burnett, Mary Tyler Moore. I watched these women be funny, and it was really special for me. And I really appreciate Dave and Shane having enough faith in me as an actor to be able to come in and play Bouvier de Flamme. She is a trip. I tell everybody she's visiting from France with her niece, and I tell everybody she is like a female Pepe Le Pew. Okay, she is just so outlandish, and she has a good heart, and she's a matchmaker. But she is hilarious, and I had so much fun playing her. So I will definitely, like I said, I always shout it from the rooftops anytime I have a project coming out, how people can watch that. So when I get kind of the final word on where and how that will be released, just follow me on Facebook. I'm the only Eliska Hahn on Facebook, so follow me, and I'll post that information as soon as I have it.
That's amazing, and I like that you mentioned that she was also like French, from like France,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's interesting because I've been teaching myself French as well, so it's
Well, thank God I didn't have to really know French words. I mean, she says a few, but they had a French tutor on set to help
okay.
me. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't even take French in high school. This is gonna be, but they babied me, and they got me a French tutor to help me speak English with a thick French accent and help me handle some of the French words in the script, so I would be correct, authentic.
Hmm.
So it was, but good. I'm glad that you're learning another language. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was gonna be like, Je m'appelle Daniel, and
Very impressive.
so I really look forward to that character then, especially. So I look
Yeah.
forward to watching that. Um, and your other project, Rustin, can you talk a little bit about that as well?
So Rustin is actually a feature film. It's not a series. I know that Netflix and Hulu and they're really known for cranking out a lot of series. But I had the great opportunity in November of last year to work on that set. Again, as a featured extra, not the star of this. Actually, Chris Rock, Coleman Domingo. They're the stars of this movie. I play a wealthy woman who is at a tea party um, in New York City, and it's a period piece. It's set in the early '60s, and I can tell you that I I live in the Pittsburgh area now, and what your listeners may or may not know is that Pittsburgh is really getting a lot of amazing films coming in and being shot, in this area. So I had heard about this film coming, and I desperately wanted to be a part of it because, I love doing comedies. I love being a space princess. I love doing a Halloween Kills or something like that. But this film was is so very important. This film centers around Bernard Rustin. He was actually a very good friend of um, of the Reverend Martin Luther King, and Mr. Rustin actually organized the March on Washington. And he did not get a lot of he did not get a lot of coverage, a lot of press. Um, he was an African American man. He was a gay African American man. So, you know, the press and the coverage back then just you don't even read about him really in history books. And this is his story. This is his story about how he was so instrumental on the the civil rights marches. And this was not my story to tell as a white woman. This is a heavy African American past. This is their history. It's all of our history. American, Black history is American history. But I desperately wanted to be a part of this story because, well, it's just so important to represent history fully as it happened, and I wanted to be a part of that because I knew this was going to be a very important film. What's cool about it is that uh, George C. Wolfe is the director. Uh, George directed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Um,
Mm-hmm.
was nominated for an Academy Award. To be directed even for a day by George was pretty cool. An Academy nominated director. Wow, that's pretty big. And when you work with that level of people in this industry, your performance just raises. They just bring you up with them, and it was really a wonderful experience. It was very cool too because I really had never done a period piece. And it's hard to think that 1963 is now a period piece, but yes, it is. And I had to wear all 19 early 1960 clothing and shoes. So there were many fittings I had to go to, and down to the jewelry and the hair and everything. So it was very Mad Men type of. Was a lot of fun, to see how that was so professionally handled too. So yeah, I've been having a pretty uh, awesome time doing all these projects that are so different one from another. So last year especially was a very good year to be Eliska Hahn. Now the only problem is that once a movie wraps, you have to be patient because a feature film can take a year or two to actually be released. Sometimes a little more than that. So it's quite probable, and this movie that I'm talking about, Rustin, is set to be released in 2023. It was also produced by the Higher Ground production company, which is owned by Barack and Michelle Obama.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like you definitely had to wear your kind of like a Renaissance cap or be the jack of all trades, going in different time zones and decades and everything, and different features. Did you feel like it was kind of like a struggle, or did you feel naturally because you've done it so often?
Well, I can tell you, it it comes down to your directors, your assistant directors, your second assistant directors. They are so good that they direct you. They let you know exactly what they're looking for, and they have this wonderful ability to because movies are shot out of sequence, and they have this ability to take all those puzzle pieces and know exactly what that puzzle piece needs to be to fit in with all these other puzzle pieces. So I can say that it wasn't a challenge, not because I'm the best actress in the world. It's because I had some of the best directors in the world. And that has been a theme throughout my entire life, from this movie right on down. This was released in 1990, so it's been a minute, right? And my director, Danny Boyd, from this film, through everything that I've done from commercials, professional theater, all of it, I've had amazing directors, and it's really those people that support staff that put that actor out in front of the camera or on the stage. And any actor that is standing there in front of a camera or on a stage, you have so many people that got you there. And I've just been so fortunate my entire life to have the best of the best putting me out there.
That's amazing, and I'm glad that you've had those experiences because it definitely makes it all worthwhile in the end.
Yes, yes, for sure. And I'm kind of looking through a couple other scripts currently to see which way I want to go next. I'm entertaining a feature film that would be shot in Central Virginia. Um, and a couple of other things, and I teach voiceover and voice acting full time. So I do stay busy, in between. But I do like to take, this time of the year to really enjoy, spooky season. And it's actually kind of funny because I never really was a big Halloween person. And then I was in the Halloween movie, and now I'm right on board.
And speaking of the Halloween season, do you have any favorite spooky movies to watch this certain time of year?
Yeah, actually, a lot. I I can tell you. So the weird thing is, when I shot Halloween Kills, I had not seen Halloween that was released, the first part of this trilogy, the Halloween that was released in 2018. I I pretty much stopped after Halloween 1 and 2, because I
Mm-hmm.
was very, very young. I never watched any of the other Halloweens. I've never seen Friday the 13th. Um, I have, yeah, a lot of that, like the Saw movies. No, no, no. But I'm a gentler, kinder type of Halloween viewer. I just
Yeah.
watched um, Hocus Pocus 2 last week.
There you go.
That's my vibe, okay? That's where I live, okay? That's happy and not too scary. But you know, I can remember when I was in my 20s, the original Fright Night. I remember
Hmm.
watching that. My gosh, that'll scare the bejesus right out of you. Um, so yeah, if I really want, I think I did watch it last year too. Um, I'll obviously be watching Halloween Ends within the next 24 hours. Um, so yeah, I know what I don't like. Like I said, that really really
Yeah.
spooky stuff is not. I don't feel too bad about that because I saw an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis and she said like me, she doesn't watch scary movies. It's just not, what kind of floats her boat.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd figured more of you would like maybe Gremlins or
Yeah.
Beetlejuice or
Oh, absolutely.
Ghostbusters.
All that. Yeah. I kind of grew up with that. So yeah, I really enjoy all of those.
So, but definitely when it gets into the scary movies, even like just like my whole shirt, none of.
Yeah, I see Michael there.
Oh yeah, he's there. Jason, Ghostface.
Yeah, and I was still living in Wilmington because that's where oh shoot, I just lost the name of the movie, the Ghostface movie. That
Scream.
was filmed.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was filmed. The most recent one was filmed in Wilmington as well.
I had heard and read about that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely good. Is there anything else that you enjoy mostly about like the autumn season? Some people like the weather or the food this time of year. Is there anything else you enjoy?
All that, all that. I'm a September baby. I I know that a lot of people are really sad to see summer go, and I do like the longer days in summer, but I am not a hot weather person. I like the cooler temperatures. I was a professional figure skater for 24 years, and I like snow skiing. So yeah, I've never really gravitated toward the beach and super hot weather. I love fall. Fall is actually my favorite season out of them all. Um, but everything from yeah, food, pumpkin pie. I mean, pumpkin pie and pumpkin spice lattes. I'm basic. That's again my vibe. So yeah,
Definitely we are the same. I'm all about fall. I kind of feel like a gremlin, when it's too hot out and bright light, and I just want to hide under umbrella.
yeah. Oh yeah. And I was one of those weird kids that going back to school. I mean, I enjoyed summer break, but I loved going back to school. So, when it would get to be around Labor Day and I knew that, I was going to get to start back to school, I loved that. And then, when I grew up and, was an adult, I loved going to college. I loved my college classes starting again in the fall. So I guess I'm probably weird that way. But yeah, everything about it I've always liked.
Before we wrap up, anything you else want to plug or promote on Dan-A-Plooza?
I think we covered a lot of it.
Yes.
Like I said, I hope that everybody feels free to give me a follow on Facebook. I'm the only Eliska Hahn there, so you're not going to make a mistake. My website is just eliskahahn.com. And, if you want to come and take a look at my acting reel or listen to
Mm-hmm.
me doing voiceover, or maybe if they're interested in taking some voiceover or voice acting classes, And then also recently, I just started teaching basic acting and also self-taping for actors because, now we self-tape to submit a lot of stuff for movies and the like. So yeah, I teach all of that. I work with people all over the United States every day.
That's good to know. And everybody, please make sure to go ahead and follow the social media, the website, the Facebook fan page. Look for Halloween Ends, that's coming out on Peacock. And stay tuned for more Dan-A-Plooza. I'd like to thank my guest Eliska Hahn for joining us tonight. Dan-A-Plooza will return Sunday, the 16th, and we'll have a comic book panel at 6. At 7, we'll have author and playwright Ann Gefellers Mason, and then we'll have burlesque dancer Celtic Curses at 8 p.m. So join us on Sunday. Take care and have a good night.